let's not talk about the fact that my first video back would be a book haul. Are we surprised? No, I'm not. Are you? Probably not. Hi, hello, what's up? My name is Jessica. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. A lot of you guys have probably already forgotten my name and who I am because it's been like 4 months, almost 5, I want to say, since I've uploaded a video. I have no real reason. I know I don't need to explain why I haven't been here, but sometimes I feel guilty. And I was just looking at my channel one day and I was like, I should just delete it, because I'm like, who actually cares? Like, I don't know. Going through imposter syndrome was a lot. This work has really been kicking my ass per usual. I've coped mostly by buying books. I have been reading books. Not as much as I would have wanted, because this year I decided to have my Goodreads reading goal be 50 books. I am like 11 books ahead of schedule, so it's not bad. I just really have not been reading as much as I normally do since coming back from my few-year slump after high school. I digress. We all know why you're here. You're here to look at the books that I've bought. These is not going to go in any particular order, mostly because I haven't really kept like track of where I've got. I mean, yes, I have. First, we're going to talk about the books that I received from publishers. These first two publishers, Tor actually reached out to me. I said yes, because this is an author that I really enjoy their work so far. I was sent The Beautiful Ones by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and I also received the arc for Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This book is actually released already. Actually, I believe these are both already released, but they're like republishing Certain Dark Things about vampires in Mexico. Welcome to Mexico City, an oasis in a sea of vampires. Domingo, a lonely street kid, is just trying to survive when a jaded vampire on the run swoops into his life. The descendant of Aztec blood drinkers is smart, beautiful, and dangerous. Domingo is mesmerized. Atl needs to quickly escape the city, far from the rival narco-vampire clan relentlessly pursuing her. Her plan doesn't include Domingo, but Atl finds herself warming up the young man and his undeniable charm. As the trail of corpses stretches behind them, local cops and crime bosses start closing in. Vampires, humans, cops, and criminals collide in the dark streets of Mexico City. Do Atl and Domingo stand a chance of making it out alive, or will the city devour them all? So, vampires? Come on, the world needs, I mean, there's already a lot of vampires, but like Mexican vampire, like, it just sounds really amazing. Do you not agree? Might just be me. This next one I was reached out to on Instagram by the publisher, and it is Indivisible by Daniel Alman. But this is about Mateo Garcia and his younger sister Sophie. They've always had like this fear of their undocumented parents being immigrated back to Mexico. One day Mateo comes back from school and he discovers that his parents have actually been taken by ICE to be deported back to Mexico. So this is just him trying to cope and take care of his sister. I am excited to read that one, but I know it's going to be pretty heart-wrenching, so I'll have to make sure that I'm in a good place mentally, you know? These next two books I was also sent by the publisher, and I went more into detail about what these books are about in my Latina books that I'm excited for the first half of 2021. I won't go into detail about them because it's going to be very long, but the first one is Sicilios and the Desert of Souls by Kayla Rivera, and Lost in the Neverwoods by Hayden Thomas. Hello, this is Editing Jessica. I realized whilst editing, obviously, that I forgot to say thank you to the publishers for sending me the books. So, thank you to Tor Books and Tor Nightfire. Thank you to Little Brown Publishing. Thank you to Harper Kids. And thank you to Swoon Reads for sending me the books. I really appreciate it. Back to the video. I got this manga called Snow White and the Red Hair, Volume 1. Shirayuki is famous for her naturally bright red hair, and the prince of Tanbarun wants her all to himself. But when she escapes into the woods of the neighboring kingdom, a young man named Zen and his two friends come to her aid. But who is Zen really? I haven't heard anyone talk about this. I was just in the manga section at my second in Charles, and It was volume 1 because that was like one of the issues, is like there was like volume 2, volume 3 of like other mangas that looked really interesting, but could not find volume 1. And this one had volume 1, didn't have volume 2, but you know, we'll get to it after you read it. And it's manga, so I can't imagine it being very difficult to get through. So yes. Next up, I have Edgar Allan Poe's 8 Tales of Terror, and as you can see, this is just a little tiny mass market paperback. I have this huge book, literally with all of Edgar Allan Poe's works, and because it's all of them and this man wrote a lot, you can imagine it's pretty hard to get through. So this was only like $1.50. Next up is one that I saw and I had to get it because I just think the cover is so cool. That is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, of course. Look, the cashier saw this and he was like, this cover is so cool. I was like, I know, it was only $4. I mean, this book was originally $1.25, but you know, it's really old. Like, look how yellow this shit is. And this edition was published, I believe, 1967. Cashier, he told me, he's like, yeah, you know, I actually just sold another copy of Frankenstein, I believe earlier this morning, and that copy was like $200, and it was like one of the original publications of Frankenstein, but he's like, I think this one's better. The other one was cooler for like collector's purposes, but this one, come on. So this next book, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it. Like, it's one of the words in the cover. It's called The Man from the Diogenes Club by Kim Newman. It's just a collection of short stories written by Kim Newman. Horror, mystery, science short stories, all written by Kim Newman. What really drew my attention, obviously, the spine. And then I looked at the cover and I was like, wow, look at it. Great books to read during fall spooky time because I'm just like really in the spooky mood. You'll see, I've bought a lot of horror books and like more Halloween books because I'm also in a really huge horror kick. Where'd it come from? I don't know, because like I don't like scary movies, so apparently horror books I'm fine with. Next up we have Ravenscroft and Darkwater, 2 gothic novels by Dorothy Eden. This book is pretty old, but like, as you can see, the jacket's a little janked up too, but I really like this. This is only like the top though. I think I'm gonna try to find a way to like encase this or laminate this, like you know how library books have it, just because I don't want this to get damaged, but even say it does. I like the naked cover. I said I wanted to get more into gothic fiction, and these seem more, from what the stories, or from what how they describe it, they're more romantic, suspenseful gothic fiction. So the last 2 books that I got from Second and Charles is Malice by John Quinn. I know this is adult fantasy. Corbin wants nothing more than to be a warrior under King Brennan's rule, to protect and serve. But that day will come all too soon, and the price he pays will be in blood. Evenus has sacrificed, too much it seems. But what he wants, the power to rule, will soon be in his grasp, and nothing will stop him once he has started on his path. Veridus is the newest member of the warband for the High Prince Nathir. He is one of the most skilled swordsmen to come out of his homeland, and yet he is always under the shadow of his older brother. Nathir has ideas and a lot of plans. Many of them don't involve his father, the High King Aquilus, nor does he agree with his father's idea to summon his fellow kings to council. The Banished Lands has a violent past where armies of men and giants clashed in battle, but now giants stir anew, stones weep blood, and there are sightings of giant worms. Those who can still read the signs see a threat far greater than the ancient wars, for if the Black Sun gains ascendancy, mankind's hopes and dreams will fall to dust, and it can never be made whole again. I want to say I've heard mixed reviews. I can't remember 100%. Last up from Second Charles, we have The Supernatural Enhancements, a novel by Edgar Cantero. Another horror book that just really drew my attention when I saw the cover. Well, actually when I saw the title and then I saw the cover and I was like, oh wow, this looks really cool. When 20-something a European relative of the prominent Wells family, inherits a beautiful yet eerie estate set deep in the woods of Point Bless, Virginia, it comes as a surprise to everyone, including A himself. After all, he never knew he had a second cousin twice removed in America, much less that his eccentric relative recently committed suicide by jumping out of his third-floor bedroom window at the same age and in the same way as his father had before him. Haunted house? Perhaps. With his companion Nim, a mute teenage punk girl from Ireland, A arrives in Virginia and quickly comes to feel as if he has inherited much more than a rambling home and an opulent lifestyle. Axton House is haunted. A and Nim know it, but the presence of a ghost is just the first in a series of disturbing secrets they slowly uncover. What led to the suicides? What became of the Axton House butler who fled shortly after his master died? What lurks in the garden maze, and what does the basement vault keep? Even more troubling, what of the rumors in town about a mysterious yearly gathering at Axton House on the night of the winter solstice? Told vividly through journal entries, cryptic ciphers, recovered security footage, and letters to a distant Aunt Liza, The Supernatural Enhancements is an absorbing, kinetic, and highly original gothic adventure and classic horror story that introduces readers to a deviously sly and powerful new voice. It's kind of like multimedia a little bit because it kind of looks like scripts, and then it's got like actual chapters as well. Think of the Bookstagram pictures. I mean, I'm not active on Bookstagram, but like think of the Bookstagram pictures during Halloween. Come on. Even though I'm not active on Instagram anymore. Not active anymore. Why do I call myself a booktuber? I don't know. So next are books that I either got from Barnes & Noble, Amazon, not that many from Amazon, good job me, but also like from Target, bookstores. They're bought new basically, so not in particular order either. I wanted to originally try to go by genre. I might actually, so I tried seeing if I could organize the books by genre, but that was just a lot of work, so we're just gonna start with the first one in the pile. And the first one is The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. Ren is a con artist who has come to the sparkling city of Narcera with one goal: to trick her way into a noble's house, securing her fortune and her sister's fortune. But as she's drawn into the elite world of House Trementes, she realizes her masquerade is just one of many surrounding her. And as nightmare magic begins to weave its way through the city of dreams, the poisonous feuds of its aristocrats and the shadowy dangers of its impoverished underbelly become tangled, with Ren at their heart. Mask of Mirrors is an unmissable start to the Rook and Rose trilogy, a dazzling and darkly magical fantasy adventure by Marie Brennan and Alec Helms, writing together as M.A. Carrick. So like, is it just me, or is every time you read out aristocrats, you want to say Aristocats, like the Disney cartoon movie? Is that just me? It could just be me. It sounds very atmospheric and a great, I don't know, it kind of sounds like a kind of a transition book, maybe from like summer to fall, maybe fall to winter. I don't know. It's not a very summery book in my opinion. Next up, we have Sing Me Forgotten by Jessica S. Olsen, and I spoke about this also in my 2021 releases. I do know that this is YA fantasy, Phantom of the Opera inspired, but I believe gender bent. Next up is another YA fantasy, A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth. For centuries, the 8 courts of folk have lived among us, concealed by magic and bound by law to do no harm to humans. This arrangement has long kept peace in the courts, until a series of gruesome and ritualistic murders rocks the city of Toronto and threatens to expose fairies to the human world. 4 queer teens, each holding a key piece of the truth behind these murders, must form a tenuous alliance in their effort to track down the mysterious killer behind these crimes. If they fail, they risk the destruction of the fairy and human worlds alike. If that's not bad enough, there's a war brewing between the mortal and immortal realms, and one of these teens is destined to tip the scales. The only question is, which way? We have Oculta by Maya Montaigne, which is the sequel to Nocturna. Cannot tell you what it's about, obviously, because it's a sequel. It's the regular, like, US hardcover. And next up, we have the Fairy Loot edition. I'm a few chapters in. I'm doing both audiobook and the physical book. Right now it's mostly audiobook. I'm also kind of going through a slump, and I think I'm doing that thing where it took me forever to read Nocturna because I was kind of scared of not liking this. I need to get over it and just fucking finish the book. Next up, we have another manga, and it is a horror manga because I love horror. But it is Love Sickness by Junji Ito. Okay, so next up is a book that is extremely hyped up on BookTube and the book community, and I've heard really amazing things about it, especially right now because the whole dark academia thing is still very much a thing. So that book is Ace of Spades by Farida Abike Imide. When people talk about it, they say that it is very much Gossip Girl meets Get Out. So this is set in a boarding school where two students, Devin and Chiamaka, are selected to be a part of the elite school's senior prefects. It looks great on college applications, and it also puts them on the running to be valedictorians. So they're very excited about that. But after the announcement is made, someone who goes by Aces begins sending anonymous text messages to reveal secrets about the two of them that turn their lives upside down and threaten every aspect of their carefully planned futures. This is a thriller, and I believe this is her debut novel. Super excited to read this. Speaking of dark academia, here's a book that I actually saw because of Book Talk, and it is called The Atlas Six by Olivier Blake. Is about this society called the Alexandrian Society. Those who can earn a spot in this society are pretty much set for life. So each decade, only the 6 most talented magicians are selected to be considered for the initiation. For the decade that's coming up, I don't know which decade, or the 6 people are Libby Rhodes, Nico de Verona, Reina Mori, Parisa Kamali, Callum Nova, and Tristan Kane. And when these candidates are recruited by the mysterious Atlas Blakely, they are told that they will have 1 year to qualify for initiation, during which time they will be permitted preliminary access to the society's archives and judged based on their contributions to various subjects of impossibility, such as time and space, luck and thought, life and death. And 5 are going to be initiated. 1 of them is going to be eliminated. So these 6 potential initiates will fight to survive the next year of their lives, and if they can prove themselves to be the best among their rivals, most of them will. But again, it's a competition. 1 of them will probably not survive. Do you think it'll go there? I think it'll go there. But yeah, this just sounded so amazing when I heard about it. It was better described by the person who I saw it on TikTok. I'm really shit at describing books. So next up we have The Mary Shelley Club by Goldie Moldovsky. This is a YA thriller ? I'm also kind of putting it as like hesitantly in the dark academia subgenre. This is following a girl named Rachel Chavez, and she's starting in this school called Manchester Prep, but she has a scholarship, and it's a very preppy school. She's really struggling to fit in with these rich kids. So one day Rachel ends up getting caught in this prank gone awry, and she goes from weird loner girl to public enemy number 1. But to her surprise, the incident attracts the attention of the Mary Shelley Club, which is a mysterious society of students who orchestrate elaborate pranks known as fear tests, which are inspired by urban legends and movie tropes. And so at first she really embraces the power that comes with behaving recklessly, but as the fear tests escalate, the competition turns deadly and takes on a life of its own. And someone soon begins to target the club, so she has to track down the killer, even if it means confronting the dark secrets of her past. That's why I consider it dark academia, because it's set in a school, there's society, and there's killing, so I consider it dark academia. I started reading the audiobook, but I got distracted because I was at work and something happened that I missed, so I think I'm just gonna read physically because I have it physically. We have Charlie Hernandez and The League of the Shadows by Ryan Calejo. So I was in Barnes & Noble. I had a bad day at work, so then I go to Barnes & Noble because it's like 10 minutes from my job. Dangerous? Yes. Also because there's half-price books 5 minutes away from the Barnes and Noble. But either way, I was at Barnes and Noble. I was going through the middle grade section because I was like, you know what? I haven't looked in the middle grade section and I enjoy middle grade. So then I was just perusing the shelves as you do, calmly, you know, feeling better after the bad day I had. And I saw this book. I haven't heard anyone talk about this book. Charlie Hernandez grew up listening to his grandmother telling him stories from Latino and Hispanic mythology. Sometimes she'd draw pictures of the monsters from the tales for him to identify. Charlie thought it was all a game, but he should have known better. Now his entire world has turned upside down. A fire destroyed his home and his parents have disappeared. He's living with a temporary guardian while the police continue to look for his mom and dad. On top of that, he'd grown horns. Yes, real honest to goodness horns. They're small and honey-colored, but they're horns. Then the feathers appear. Feathers growing out of his pores, covering his arms and chest. And suddenly he's reminded of one of his abuela's myths. This one was about a creature called a morphling, a shapeshifter. But myths aren't real, are they? As Charlie and his longtime crush, Violet Ray, set out to search for the truth, he realized that some monsters aren't hiding under the bed. They're hiding in plain sight. Like a good old middle grade adventure where he's starting to turn into it. I believe this is the first in a series. I don't know how many books there are published right now because I think this one was published like 2015. No, 2018. Yeah, this one sounds so good. I cannot wait to read it. I also saw that the audiobook was available on in my library, so probably should have got the audiobook first or listened to it first. But like, it just sounded so good. I couldn't not get it. You know what I mean? This is why I have a problem. So next up is more middle grade. One is like tentative middle grade. I'm not really sure the genre that it is, but the first two are definitely middle grade. First one is Curse of the Forgotten City by Alex Astor, and this is the second book in the Emblem Island series. So when I went to Barnes & Noble and I saw this book, I saw that this book had just been released that day. And I didn't even know that the sequel's already being released. So I really enjoyed the first one. I really like the audiobook, so I'm gonna have to see when the audiobook comes out in my library as well. So I literally have no idea what this one is about. I just saw it and I really like the first one, so I had to get the second one. But this one seems like there are pirates involved. And who doesn't love a good pirate story? So yes. Next up is a middle grade that is a bit more on the spookier side because once again I am still on my horror kick, but it is called The Mystery of the Black Hollow Lane by Julia Noble. With a dad who disappeared years ago and a mother who's a bit too busy to parent, Emmy is shipped off to Wellsworth, a prestigious boarding school in England where she's sure she won't fit in. Before she leaves, Emmy finds a box of mysterious medallions in the attic of her home, medallions that belong to her father who may have gone to Wellsworth. When she arrives at school, she finds the strange symbols from the medallions etched into walls and books, which lead Emmy and her new friends Jack and Lola to Wellsworth's secret society, the Order of Black Hollow Lane. Emmy can't help but think that the order has something to do with her father's disappearance, and that there may be more than just dark secrets in the halls of Wellsworth. I kind of just bought this book because like I was looking up videos for spooky horror, more scary like middle grades, and I didn't know that there was gonna be a secret society for this one as well. Oh yeah, so excited. Like my TBR for Halloween / fall season, it's gonna be so good. Like I have so many books to read. I'm so excited for that season. You don't even know. My bookshelves are a bit still like kind of springy, but I'm already getting my fall stuff ready because I'm so excited for this season. As soon as like August hits, fall decorations are going to be everywhere. You can believe that. Anyway, next up is the one that I think is kind of middle grade, but it's definitely more for the Halloween season. Why? Because it's literally called Halloween Season, and this is a collection of short stories written by Lucy A. Snyder. This has a bunch of little short stories filled with thrills and chills, hilarities and horrors, and the sweet and the naughty. It just has a bunch of little short stories. It's so thin so I know I can read this pretty quickly too, But look at this cover. It's perfect for Halloween. Not only because it's called Halloween season. Like, look at this. I'm such in the Halloween mood. We're gonna go through our kind of fantasy, not exactly sci-fi, but definitely not horror books before we get into the horror books that I have bought. So first we have Black Sun by Rebecca Rowanhorse. This is one that is super big, super well loved in the booktube community. Oh wait, oh, bitch, I haven't looked at the inside yet. Look at this map. Bitch, look at this map. I'm in such a good mood today. I think I'm actually really excited to be filming. Good for me. So this is the first book in the Between the Earth and the Sky trilogy, and this is inspired by the pre-Columbian Americans, and it's woven into a tale of celestial prophecies and political intrigue and forbidden magic. So I started reading the audiobook, but then I got into my really bad reading slump. Excited to read this, so I didn't want to force myself into reading it, but I feel myself coming out of the reading slump, so I'm gonna get started on this soon. We also have A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, and I spoke about this book in my books I'm excited for 2021, but this is a reimagining of Dracula's Brides, and I finished this book. Guys, it was so freaking good. Like, I read it in one sitting because it's super short. And the writing is just super impactful, very much draws you in. So this book is written in the point of view of one specific bride of Dracula. She really talks about it in a way of like how emotional, like it like brings the attention of like the emotional abuse that Dracula brought to his brides in a way that just makes you really feel for them. It was just so freaking good. I highly recommend you pick this up because this was so good. S.T. Gibson, with this, S.T. Gibson is like one of the authors that I'm going to be just like on the lookout for all of their future works because this was just so good. Last up, we have another book because of Book Talk. And I bought it mostly also because it's just so breathtaking. Like, I still even have the packaging it came in. It's right here. That book is called The Octonumi by Trevor Allen Forrest. And like, just can we look at how stunning this book is? But I know this is fantasy. This book even has like a prologue, definitions of words, and then on the other side, how to pronounce certain words. I haven't read it yet. Are we surprised? No. But, you know, I don't think a lot of people on TikTok have actually read this book yet either. I might kind of want to do a vlog about reading books that Book Talk recommended to me, but I don't want to do books that are like super, no shade. I don't want to read, who is it, Colleen Hoover. Like, they're recommending a lot of Colleen Hoover, and I'm like, I didn't want to read it then. I don't want to read it now. I get a mix of books. But yeah, kind of want to do a reading vlog for this one. Probably will. Super excited. Because, you know what? I like this book. I haven't read it, but I really like how it looks. We have The Library of the Dead, written by T.L. Huchu. And this book, I can't really tell if it's middle grade or adult, because it's like, it was the price of an adult book, because this was almost $30. And that's a lot. I know it's hardcover, but comparative to, I mean, granted, it's much larger, so that's why I'm like, I think this is adult, but it's with a middle, like a 12-year-old, I think. This is about a girl named Ropa. She dropped out of school to become a ghost talker, and now she speaks to Edinburgh's dead, carrying messages to those they left behind. A girl's gotta earn a living, and it seems harmless enough. Until that is, the dead begin to whisper that someone's bewitching children, leaving them husks empty of joy and life. It's in Ropa's city, so she feels honor-bound to investigate, but what she learns will change her world. She'll dice with death, discovering an occult library and a taste for hidden magic. She'll also experience dark times, for Edinburgh hides a wealth of secrets, and Ropa's gotta hunt them all. So, I guess maybe even YA. This is his genre fiction debut. So I don't know. But either way, the cover drew my attention. Next up is one that is like a little kind of fantasy, but also kind of horror still, and it's called The Lights of Prague by Nicole Jarvis. Oh, it says historical fantasy about class and the hunger for power, but it's got like paranormal vibes, I believe, because I believe there are vampires. In the quiet streets of Prague, all manner of mysterious creatures lurk in the shadows. Unbeknownst to its citizens, their only hope against the tide of predators are the dauntless lamplighters, secret elite monster hunters whose light staves off the darkness each night. Domek Miska leads a life teeming with fraught encounters with the worst kind of evil, pichavis, bloodthirsty and soulless vampiric creatures. Despite this, Domek finds solace in his moments spent in the company of his friend, the beautiful and clever Lady Ora Fischerova, a widow with secrets of her own. When Domek finds himself stalked by the spirit of the White Lady, a ghost who haunts the Baroque halls of Prague Castle, stumbles across the sentient essence of Will-o'-the-Wisp captured in a mysterious container. Now, as its bearer, Domek yields its power, but the wisp, known for leading travelers to their deaths, will not so easily be controlled. After discovering a conspiracy among the Pijavis that could see them unleash terror on the daylight world, Domek finds himself in a race against those who aim to twist alchemical science for their own dangerous game. Big cover vibe, but also vampires, and this seems very atmospheric. Yeah, seems super atmospheric. Again, perfect for the fall, but I think winter also, like a really dark winter night, you know? So next up, we have Maledictions, which is a collection of horror stories written by various authors. So this anthology is kind of similar to the one that I spoke about, like my last haul, Reverie, I think it was. Horror is no stranger to the dark worlds of Warhammer. Its very fabric is infested with the arcane, the abnormal, and the downright terrifying. From the cold vastness of the 41st millennium to the creeping evil at large in the mortal realms, this anthology of short stories explores the sinister side of Warhammer in a way like never before. Psychological torment, visceral horrors, harrowing accounts of the supernatural, and the nightmares buried within. This collection brings together a grim host of tales to chill the very blood. That was really hard for me to say, but again, I'm just such in the horror mood. I might do like a part 2 to this video where it's just talking about the romance books that I've bought recently, because I bought a pretty decent amount of romance, not as much as horror. Wow, I've bought a lot of horror compared to what I normally buy. We're gonna start off with A House at the Bottom of the Lake by Josh Malerman, and this is the author who wrote Bird Box. The story begins. Young lovers, anxious to connect, agree to a first date thinking outside the box. At 17 years old, James and Amelia can feel the rest of their lives beginning. Got this summer and this summer alone to experience the extraordinary. But they didn't expect to find a house at the bottom of a lake. The house is cold and dark, but it's also their own. Caution be damned until being carefree becomes dangerous. For the teens must decide, swim deeper into the house, all while falling deeper in love, or return to the surface, to safety, to sanity. Whatever they do, they will never be able to turn their backs on what they discovered together and what they learned. Just because the house is empty doesn't mean nobody's home. So I got really big into the horror kick because of Jordaline Reads. I'll link her channel because she really got me into the horror. Next up, we have Tender as the Flesh by Augustina Basterica, and this is a translated book. I know that this deals with cannibalism in a dystopian world. This is set again in a dystopian world where for some reason the animals meat cannot be eaten, so humans have turned to cannibalism. This virus infected all of the animals and made their meat poisonous to humans, so then the government initiated the transition, which now eating humans meat, called special meat, is made legal. I've heard that this is very good, but it's cannibalism, so it's gonna be very dark as well. So very excited to read that. Is that a weird thing for me to say? Kind of, yeah, but whatever. Next up, we have Goddess of Filth by V. Castro. This is a very short, like, novella like book. I was actually really surprised at the size when I got it in the mail. Okay, so next up we have Near the Bone by Christina Henry. Maddie can't remember a time before she and William lived alone on a mountain together. She must never make him upset. But when Maddie discovers the mutilated body of a fox in the woods, she realizes they're not alone after all. There's something in the woods that wasn't there before, something that makes strange cries in the night, something with sharp teeth and claws. When three strangers appear on the mountaintop looking for the creature in the woods, Maddie knows their presence will anger William. Terrible things happen when William is angry. Next up, we have Haunted Nights, which is just an anthology full of horror novels written by Seanan McGuire, Stephen Graham Jones, Garth Nix, many other horror writers. We have The October Boys by Adam Millard. In Halloween 1988, a gang of 12-year-old boys are trick-or-treating in London. Off in the distance, they hear the discordant chimes of an ice cream truck. It seems strange to hear on a cold autumn night, but their thoughts of maximizing their candy haul soon dismissed its incongruous melody until they saw the rusting hulk idling in the shadows at the end of the street, its driver a faceless shadow. That was the night he took one of them. Years later, Halloween is fast approaching, and Tom Craven is still haunted by the events of that dark night, especially the fact that their friend was never found. Increasingly plagued by horrific visions, Tom returns to the place where it all began, only to discover he's not the only one who can feel it. His friends have already arrived and are preparing for a battle which could get them all killed. The ice cream man is back, and he's come for the ones that got away. This book really drew my attention because of the cover. One, it's kind of eerie, you know, because it's just like a super old ice cream truck. So, and then hearing the description, its simplicity really makes it super eerie, in my opinion. And I think it really gives it that super creepy, eerie atmosphere that I've been like really looking for. I don't think I'll wait for October to read it. I think I will read this pretty soon. First up, we have The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. The creeping horror of Paul Tremblay meets Tommy Orange's There There in a dark novel of revenge, cultural identity, and the cost of breaking from tradition in this latest novel from the Jordan Peele of horror literature, Stephen Graham Jones. Seamlessly blending classic horror and a dramatic narrative with sharp social commentary, The Only Good Indians follows four American Indian men after a disturbing event from their youth puts them in a desperate struggle for their lives. Tracked by an entity bent on revenge, these childhood friends are helpless as the culture and traditions they left behind catch up to them in a violent, vengeful way. Heard very good things about this book, that it's super dark, kind of gory, I believe. Also by Stephen Graham Jones, we have Mapping the Interior and Night of the Mannequin. One last laugh for the summer as it winds down. One last prank just to scare a friend. Bringing a mannequin into a theater is just some harmless fun, right? Until it wakes up. Until it starts killing. Luckily, Sawyer has a plan. He'll be a hero. He'll save everyone to the best of his ability. He'll kill as many people as he needs to so he can save the day. That's this thing about heroes. Sometimes you have to become a monster first. So, Mapping the Interior. Walking through his own house at night, a 15-year-old thinks he sees a person in full Blackfeet regalia step through a doorway. Instead of the people who could be there, his mother or his brother, the figure reminds him of his long-gone father, who died mysteriously before his family left the reservation. When he follows it, he discovers his house is bigger and deeper than he knew. I like that it's not super descriptive, you know? Those are all of the books for this book haul. It's going to be a long video. I'm really hoping I can get it down because I don't know why I was just so talkative today. It's really weird. With that, I have a total of 40 books? Oh. I thought it was less, but it makes sense. Anyway, 40 books hauled. Maybe I'll do a part 2 talking about the romance books, which that one should be much shorter because I don't think I bought as many romance books. Hopefully this will not be the only video that I put out within the next year. Hopefully I get to film the mid-year freakout tag, but who knows? Let me know if you've read any of these books or what books do you think I should read, or if I should do a reading vlog dedicated to the Octonumi or to any of the other books like horror books. Just tell me, you know? Let me know. what you think I should do. Anyway, I really missed you all. I really missed filming, actually. I'm not going to enjoy editing this video, but I miss talking to you guys, clearly, because I spoke so much in this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you guys want to, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.